when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
Hey North Fargo, are you looking for a trustworthy car repair? Matthew Carlson here, owner of Fix It Forward Auto Care, and we're excited to announce the opening of our new downtown Fargo location, conveniently located at 102 North University. We offer the same great service that you've come to know and expect with Fix It Forward Auto Care, now available in your neighborhood. Check us out online at fixitforwardautocare.com with 4 convenient locations. Fix It Forward Auto Care, the name you trust for car repair.
Fix It Forward Auto Care.
This is Weather and Ag in Focus with Bridgette Readel, Justin Storm, and Dean Wysocki.
How dare you! I want a bucket of chicken!
I do want a bucket of chicken. That sounds like a great way to start off the show. Welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus, everyone. Thanks for joining us. It's 1:05 on this bucket of a chicken day. Man, I'm not going to get that out of my head. A bucket of chicken would go great with this kind of weather we're having. It's cold, it's windy. What's better than some greasy fried chicken?
How dare you!
Guys, how are you doing today?
I want a bucket of chicken!
Jay's going to get upset if you keep pushing his sounders.
Hey, chicken has to do with egg, right? So we can
Indeed it does.
We can mix and match. No doubt about it. Windy out there.
Man,
My toupee,
tell me about it.
my toupee is now down in Sioux Falls. It was spotted and by a trucker. He said he was going to stop and pick that up and bring it up here. So appreciate that.
That's awfully nice of them.
Yes, strong.
Yeah,
winds
for
out
those
there.
for those who had tumbleweeds or kochia or something like that at the edge of their field, they all have now moved on into many other places.
Oh, yeah.
And so happy trails, weed control.
Right.
See you later.
Oh man, we've got we've had
Yeah.
wind gusts to 50 miles an hour, and wind advisory in effect. Those high profile vehicles, be careful on those east-west roadways. It's windy. Obviously, you're getting wind gusts approaching and exceeding 50 in some areas, and we're looking at windy conditions continuing throughout the day, and that will lead to cooler temperatures filtering in. We're in the 40s right now, but we'll be dropping off into the 30s as we head into the afternoon, or towards evening, I should say. And then winds will calm down overnight tonight. Out of the northwest, about 10 to 15, and lows in the low 20s. Winds back around to the southwest tomorrow. The warming us up into the mid to upper 40s. Weekend looks great, guys. Highs in the low 50s both Saturday and Sunday. Just looking absolutely great. If you have outdoor plans or outdoor chores, maybe finish up the yard work or hang the Christmas lights, or even, finishing up harvest, the weekend looks really, really nice. As big changes next week. From Tuesday onward, we'll see temperatures crashing from the 30s to the 20s for highs. The good news is no big storms for the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday weekend. So travel around our areas should be okay. Just cold. We can handle cold.
Very cold. It's about time. We haven't had
always
any
do.
real good cold.
No. But
That's okay.
We need some snow. We need some moisture. We've had
You start building some ice out there too.
We've had that too, but we've had scant moisture for the month of November. And
What word was that?
Scant.
That's a new one.
Never heard of it?
We'll
I guess
we'll spell
not.
it for you later, Justin.
Yeah, he needs help spelling. I know.
We need help with that from time to time,
And this, that doesn't bode well in the LRC cycle. If we've got a month of very dry weather, this bleeds into the spring and summer too. So not liking that at all. But hopefully during the wet part of the LRC cycle, we can make that up. So,
Well, let's just remember, I know that as meteorologists, you always use the 30-year as an average for weather. But what was happening in the early 90s is not really indicative of what the Dakotas are truly like through the 70s, 80s, et cetera. I mean, this is probably more what many of us are used to, is slightly drier conditions. And I'm going to say we had a pretty decent crop. It wasn't perfect, not every field, but overall we raised a decent crop based on what we did get for rainfall this year. So fingers crossed we can replenish some of that subsoil moisture maybe as we get towards spring. That'd be okay.
And Bridgette, compared to the 80s and even 70s, and I think I know what your answer is going to be. How much do you contribute that to just the seed production and how much further that's come along?
Oh, we've improved our genetics so tremendously. We used to look at significantly lower yields if we were going to get, first of all, we were hardly raising soybeans in the state of North Dakota because of drier conditions. Now we see much better drought tolerance. And for us to see yields and averages in that 30 to 40 bushel range, that's pretty impressive versus what we first saw. Used to be you were excited about a 100 bushel corn crop. Now 100 bushels, well, that's really kind of a wreck. So things have surely improved and gotten better. Not that long ago, we had Dr. Carrie Miranda from NDSU as a soybean breeder on the show, and she made mention of the fact that her career goal is to get us to consistent 60 bushel soybeans in North Dakota. And I'm going to cheer her on. I hope she does.
I think we'd all be looking forward to that. Hey, I got a question involving standing corn and standing sunflowers, because some people are still out there harvesting. What's a 50-mile-an-hour wind gust, 30-mile-per-hour sustained winds due to this dry of crop that's still standing out in the field? Is this something that, for the most part, is going to be just something that they can handle, or is this going to cause a loss of yield because of that?
I think we should say the answer to that is nothing good, because winds like this, you're right, can cause stalk breakage. If you had problems with insects during the season, maybe you had a borer in the corn, or if you've got weak stalk strength in those sunflowers, because all the weight's in that head that's hanging down, right? So there is a real possibility, especially on those rows where the wind is coming at them from the northwest, that you'll see much more breakage and stalks falling over because of all of this. We're hoping not. We hope that all corn and sunflowers continue to stand so that they're easily combined. But you're right, Justin. There's a real possibility we're going to see loss just simply due to this situation.
Well, if anyone out there is starting to experience any of this, or you've gone and scouted on your fields just to see how they're doing and you want to give us an update, 701-293-9000 is the Red Wing Shoes phone line. You can use that to call us here at the studio, or you can use it to join in on our conversation or ask any other questions. Also, email inboxes for the show are weather or ag at flagfamily.com, and live comment boxes over on Facebook as well as YouTube Live. And let's see, what do we got coming up on the show today? It looks like we have about 3 ag topics that we're going to be covering. One of those is South Dakota Brand Board charges, gene editing hogs for disease prevention, and NCBA Red Book, as well as our guests that'll be joining us here in our next segment. And Bridgette, I believe that this just so happens to be your personal doctor, is it not?
She is, and thankfully HIPAA refrains from us sharing far too much information. But yes, our guest today is going to be Dr. Rhonda Schafer-McLean. She's from Balance Medical in Bismarck, and the reason we have Rhonda joining us today is, first of all, her path to becoming a doctor started out as a farm kid, particularly with horses, and why she got involved. But then her work with rural areas, not just with women, but especially in the rural areas and what rural healthcare looks like right now. I think she's got a great perspective of that. And I thought it'd be fun to ask her some of those questions. And when you mentioned going back to that discussion about is our corn and sunflowers going to continue to stand up? Well, a week from yesterday. So next week, Wednesday, right before Thanksgiving, it's going to be time for Ag Festivus. The airing of the grievances. I mean, I know it's usually in December. It's usually in December when you want to do Festivus, but we're going to do it a little bit sooner as we are wrapping up harvest right before Thanksgiving, so we can get all the grievances out of the way, and then everybody can feel very grateful on Thanksgiving as they move into the turkey holiday. I have already been gathering up questions, soliciting some of our listeners who might want to call in to share some of their stories and grievances that they've had through the 2023 growing season. We even get to share them because we had 20 acres that we farmed this year. So you guys think about the things that maybe you want to vent your frustrations on just a little bit as we get ready for next week.
Where's my rain, Dean?
That'll be one of them.
That's one. That's one.
My grievance is already out there on Facebook, and it brew up just a wild windstorm of comments of that video of that pipe in our field, and 1 point some million views later and about several hundred comments. Yeah, I think that's going to be mine.
I think that might have a lot to do with it. So keep those things in mind. What are those grievances we need to get off our chest? And we'll talk through those. And, one of the topics you mentioned today, as far as ag headlines, was gene editing in hogs. So there is first of all, pork is probably the most eaten meat globally, right? Pork production across all the countries is very, very high. And there's a $2 billion loss that occurs annually, and that is from the productive and respiratory syndrome, porcine respiratory production. There's a lot of letters here. Porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome, PRRS. Okay, so what's going on is there's actually a company out there, the name of the company is Genus, and they are doing gene editing in hogs to try to prevent that disease in newly bred and born hogs. And they have approval in a couple of countries. They're waiting for FDA approval here in the US. And then additionally, they want to see it in Canada, China, etc. China is the largest global market for pork products, so approval there would be very important to all pork producing countries. But this would help to prevent the loss in that production system for pork. And we've already got a few other gene editing items that have happened in the livestock industry. The one most recently was slick cattle. And we talked about those earlier this summer. Those are cattle with shorter hair so that they can potentially tolerate hot weather. So little things like that can make the difference in our livestock industry.
Very interesting. Thanks for sharing
Fun
that
facts
one,
for y'all. Sure.
Yeah, let's see. Why don't we go and get caught up with the American Ag Network? Because when we come back, we're going to have Bridgette's doctor on with us talking about rural women's health. And if you want to join in on the conversation, ask any questions yourself, feel free to reach out to us on the Red Wing Shoes phone line, 701-293-9000. Again, 701-293-9000. Or you can use the emails weatherorag@flagfamily.com, and you could just text Bridgette personally. I know a good handful of people will do that as well, and Bridgette will get those questions relayed over to us. So stay tuned. We'll check in on the markets, and we'll be right back.
Livestock is mixed, but mostly lower. For the American Ag Network, I'm Richard Risvet with this market update. Live cattle futures have eroded through today as traders start focusing on end-of-the-week position adjustments ahead of tomorrow's cattle on feed report. Strong losses seen during the morning have quickly eroded weekly gains. The potential to further erode early gains is likely to continue. Traders remain extremely cautious ahead of expected higher placements and total cattle on feed yards than last year. Now, this may cause some additional volatility if report numbers are not in line with pre-report estimates. Cash cattle markets are quiet today following the pressure in futures trade. Light to moderate trade seen yesterday in the north. Reported cattle selling at 282 to 285, mostly at 282. That's a $4 per hundredweight lower than last week's weighted average. And given the building pressure in the market, may limit upward market support through the end of the week. Now, it is likely that trade will be delayed until tomorrow, possibly even into the afternoon after the release of the cattle on feed report. Box beef prices are mixed. Choice down 144 and select up 93 with a movement of 48 loads. Now, lean hog futures, they are the stable market of the livestock complex today, with most of the attention on either outside markets or the upcoming cattle on feed report. The few traders in the hog complex are focused on overall market stability. Prices remain mixed in a narrow to moderate range. This lack of market direction is likely to continue through the end of the day and possibly the end of the week. We'll get a look at the livestock numbers. You're listening to the American Ag Network.
1, 2, 3.
Little moments get bigger. Kids grow a little taller. Families closer. Yeah, life's different when you carry Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Dakota. Shop plans now and enroll at bcbsnd.com/shop. Find individual and family health plans with more doctors to choose from than any other plan. It's coverage for where life takes you. Coverage, confidence, carry on.
Managing your inoculants just got easier with Lalfix Start Spherical Pulses from Lallemand Plant Care. Get increased nitrogen fixation and phosphorus availability for any pulses you grow. Its high porosity granule provides improved handling and accurate metering, so it's easy flowing and virtually dust free. It's the only inoculant you need. It's Pulse Perfect. Contact your Lallemand sales representative today.
Let's get a look at the livestock numbers. Live cattle December down 307 at 174.70. February down 357 at 175.20. April down 335 at 177.12. And the June live cattle, they're down $3 at 172.02. Feeders November down a dime at 229.32. January down 380 at 227.10. Lean hogs December down a nickel at 71 even. February up 32 at 75.22. And the April lean hogs, they're up 2 pennies at 81.27. For the American Ag Network, I'm Richard Ristvet.
This is Weather and Ag in Focus with Bridgette Readel, Justin Storm, and Dean Wysocki.
Man, I feel like I missed my cue if there's no screaming goat on there, Dean. That's the one. We will. So, welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on Weather and Ag in Focus. And if you have a moment, please go to our website and click on the hot links button, because Legacy Plumbing wants to make sure that we all have warm hearts and warm homes for this holiday season. You can nominate someone who is in need of a new furnace if they're in the Cass or Clay County area. Give that nomination so that the winner can be determined and furnaces will be upgraded for that particular family or individual who needs it most. So again, we all want warm hearts and warm homes. And while you're doing that and you're on our website, continue on that hot links button and look for the WDAY commemorative Steiger tractor. This is a Steiger Cougar 4. It is the KM280, has duals, 3-point hitch, and this is the 132nd size Steiger in the iconic green color. They're numbered sequentially, 1 through 150. It's a limited edition. It does indeed have my signature on it, and I always feel a little odd saying that, but yes, it does, and we'd love to see you pick one up for the holiday season to give to your favorite tractor collector. Speaking of favorite people, one of mine is joining us today, and that's actually my doctor, Dr. Rhonda Schafer-McLean from Balance Medical in Bismarck. Dr. Rhonda, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I thank you for the invitation. This is my first ag podcast, to be sure.
Well, by the way, as many of you would guess, Rhonda is a UND medical graduate, and I am not. And so whenever I go to my appointments, I make sure to have all my NDSU gear on. So now my office behind me, Rhonda, once again, displaying my favorite things.
Don't think I didn't notice, Bridgette. I saw it all back there glaring and, noticeable. Good job. Well done. Better than socks, some would say.
That's exactly right. So, all right.
Just ask her how a couple weekends ago went.
I like this. I like this. We're getting there. We're all sure North Dakota. Right? Maybe not. Yeah. Maybe not the gold and green Mecca, I'm guessing. So yeah, we're all pro North Dakota. So that's a great thing. But every once in a while I get a chance to sit in a stadium where the two greens are opposite each other. And my goodness, there's a lot of gold when that happens. So, good program doing good things.
So Rhonda, as a doctor, you kind of got there. I remember having this conversation with you. You kind of got there in a little bit of an unusual route because you were a farm kid growing up in North Dakota. How'd you get to the place where you are today?
Well, we were kind of a hybrid family because we physically lived in town, but our horses and our assigned chickens and goats were at the farm. And so we often had to ride our bikes out to the farm to do our chores and stuff like that. And my original science project as a high school kid that started even in junior high was, what's the bacteria in dirt? And so that's where it started. And then progressed eventually in my senior year. I made a vaccine for brucellosis and won the International Science Fair. And so, there were a lot of farmers and ranchers that helped me out with that, and a rural vet, Midway Veterinary Clinic in Mandan, North Dakota. Shout out proud to those guys for taking on some wet behind the ears kid, and they helped me to do all the things that I needed to do to be able to make this project happen. And that launched the college scholarship in Boston. Probably wouldn't have made it from Wilton to Boston without that.
Well, you made a vaccine. That seems like kind of a big deal for the rest of us, right? It's not an everyday thing, Rhonda.
Yeah. Yeah, it's better than my free throw percentage in high school. I can tell you that. And so, in your rural, you have to do all the things. And so it's a long story, but it came about pretty organically, literally. I just did a project, and then the next year there was another project, and they kept building on each other. And ultimately, curiosity plus a really, good supportive network and, just probably a lot of good old German work ethic and grit led to this vaccine. And super supported by, North Dakota Science Fair. And that was a largely rural thing. I mean, these were not, kids that got a chance to go to the big labs at UND or NDSU. But I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to come to SU for a summer, actually. So, again, hats off to the green and gold there, because they supported me through the generation of that vaccine. And so, that got me the college scholarship, and that led to med school. And, the rest is my story, I guess.
Now, Rhonda.
That's crazy. Congrats.
No doubt. Rhonda, there's been an uptick in mental health awareness and just mental health problems throughout the general population. Have you noticed anything higher of note in the ag community?
I think, I'm in Bismarck, practicing Bismarck, but I've always done satellite work to smaller, the Class B towns of old. And I don't know that I noticed an uptick in those spaces compared to Bismarck particularly, but I think we're less phobic about talking about mood than we were before. And that didn't originally come in the rural spaces. And I think it's become a little more ubiquitous. Everybody's equally willing, kind of, to talk about it. I think mental health, we've always worried that it would be, kind of a stigma if you had depression or anxiety. And I do think we're getting to a better place where people understand. They can just say, hey, I'm struggling a little bit. What do you got? How can I get some help? I don't really know what to need, and I don't know where to reach. And I think that is actually reaching out to rural spaces. I don't think, again, that North Dakota work ethic, that, ranchy farm kind of, strength. I don't think that people are running to the front of the line there, but I do think it's becoming destigmatized to reach out for some help.
And I don't know how it is there, but here locally, last 2 times I've been, when I almost cut my thumb off, went into the urgent care, and every time you get questions, I'm here for my thumb. Okay. Have you ever thought of suicide in the last 30 days? I'm just fix my thumb, please.
I'm here for my thumb.
I'm here for my thumb. I'm fine, but it seems like most doctors' offices now are starting to ask these questions to make it more aware, I guess. Is that the same out in the Bismarck area as well?
It's the same everywhere. It's kind of a national prompt. And so now we're not in paper charts anymore. We're all in electronic charts for the most part. And some of that includes a hard stop for how is the mental health of your patient. Some of that's coming from national pushes. Some are coming from federal, I would say mandate is a strong word, but federal suggestion that we should be reviewing some of these things more actively because it makes good sense in how we're taking care of people. So some of those are bypassable and some are kind of hard stopped.
So speaking of what's going on as far as healthcare in rural areas, I mean, Rhonda is someone who has practiced in a lot of rural satellite clinics, et cetera. How is the overall health in our rural communities? Do you think that since the pandemic, we've put things off and fallen into a pattern of just shake it off, we'll be fine?
Oh, yeah, I think so much. I think there was a numbness, there was fear in the middle of it. There was fear coming out of it. And then there was kind of a numbness that sort of came after that. It seemed like we spent a year to 2 years after, COVID was sort of seemingly wrapping up, that we were all kind of in a time warp. I didn't remember if it was, we started calling it pre-COVID versus post-COVID because we just couldn't remember if we had our annual exam or didn't have our annual exam. And a lot of people had a lot of catching up to do. And I would say, I think for women, probably as much as anybody, maybe more, a lot of that, came later, like, well, I got the kids caught up, but, I'm caught up at the PTA or I'm caught up in the field or whatever it is. And now I'm going to take care of myself. And so, yeah, there was a lot of catch up coming out of COVID, a lot.
And probably still some of that going on. So we are at bottom of the hour, 1:29 in the afternoon. We're going to take a moment to catch up with our news and be back to continue our discussion with Dr. Rhonda Schafer-McLean. She's with Balance Medical in Bismarck, serving rural areas and talking about healthcare in our rural communities. We'll also make sure we touch on more headlines and the weather, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Age 65 or older, congratulations. By today's standards, we shouldn't be alive. We didn't wear bike helmets. We drank from the hose. We played outside all day and got cut up and broke bones. We rode in cars that didn't have seatbelts, let alone airbags. We did things that people today wouldn't dream of. But that doesn't mean we're invincible. These days, we have doctor appointments, multiple medications, and chronic conditions to manage. That's why there's Teladoc Health. Teladoc Health brings together all of your health care into one program, including everything from primary care to chronic care management. We even have coaches to help you with diabetes, hypertension, and weight management. And for non-emergencies, someone is always available to speak with at any time during the day or night, no matter what your health issue is. Teladoc Health offers everything needed to live healthier ever after. Learn more at teladochealth.com. That's TELADOC health.com.
Good afternoon, I'm Tom Tucker, WDAY News First. The City of Fargo is asking for citizen feedback on the latest plan to redevelop downtown. An updated guidebook shows how the city wants to invest in projects over the next decade. There are at least 20 action items in the draft titled Downtown in Focus, Take Action Plan. Residents can send in their comments to the City Planning Department through November 27th. Some North Dakota taxpayers could save hundreds of dollars thanks to new tax credits approved by state lawmakers during their last session. Credits are now available for donations to pregnancy help centers and foster home agencies, and for residents who adopt children. The legislature also gave approval to new tax schedules that are expected to eliminate the tax liability for about 60% of taxpayers. Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin is trying to overturn his conviction in the murder of George Floyd. Chauvin filed a motion earlier this week claiming he never would have pled guilty if he knew about the theories of a forensic pathologist from Kansas. That pathologist does not believe Chauvin caused Floyd's death in 2020 when Chauvin pinned Floyd's neck to the ground. Chauvin is requesting a new trial. He's currently serving a 21-year sentence in Arizona. Tom Tucker, WDAY, and WDAYRadioNow.com.
Get ready for a heartwarming experience with Legacy Plumbing and Heating. At Legacy, our mission is simple: to provide the best plumbing and heating experience in town, while also being dedicated to serving our community.
You can make a difference today by nominating a family in need for a brand new furnace thanks to Legacy Plumbing and Heating with the Warm Heart, Warm Home Initiative. Visit WDAYRadioNow.com today and nominate someone in need.
Remember, life flows better with Legacy. Join us in spreading warmth and love this season of giving.
Hey, Janae White of the Coffee Club, tell us what you like about Hot Works in Moorhead.
I love that I can get a full, complete workout in 15 minutes and not spend an hour doing a workout. My favorite workout is the Hot Blast, where I am working out at an infrared heat. Hot Works has 24-hour access, so it can work with any schedule. It's great for weight loss, improved circulation, and detoxification. Get a tour and try it before you sign up. Go to Hot Works Moorhead on Facebook or Instagram.
Hello, Fargo. This is John Adams, your host of Talk of the Town. My show is designed to highlight everything great about the city, the valley, and the country in which we live. I've had the great fortune of meeting, working, and living with wonderful people in the Fargo-Moorhead area, and I want to bring their stories to you. Human interest stories, sports, timely topics that affect all of us in the Red River Valley. Talk of the Town with John Adams. Tune in for positivity and fun.
Weather and Ag in Focus on WDAY Radio.
Oh, how the Screaming Goats love to welcome you back to joining us here on WDAY. And we are joined today by our guest. She is Dr. Rhonda Schafer-McLean with Balance Medical out of Bismarck, North Dakota. And Rhonda, as we've been talking about some of the things that are going on in rural areas with healthcare, et cetera. So define a healthcare desert, if you would.
Ooh, That's a real thing and up and coming. So nationally, there have been some movements to kind of work on abolishing those issues. So, for example, if you take Hettinger, North Dakota, and you take away West River Healthcare Clinic and Hospital, you've got a desert there. You've got 2 to 4 hours before medical care can be achieved for those rural people. And, we start out with some location issues when we're in rural states and in rural spaces. But if you take out these kind of network kind of hotspots for healthcare, you really limit, and it makes a real disparity for folks in the rural spaces compared to what folks in urban spaces can get for quality of care and access to care. And so that's kind of how we're defining a desert.
Wow.
So what do we do? I mean, how do we start that fix?
Oh, I wish I had the answer to that. That's $1 million question. I think, from my perspective, the things that I can do and have been doing since about 2009 is, once a month I go to Linton and Wysocki, North Dakota. I spend a half of the day in each of those places. They're separated by about a half an hour, and they're between about an hour and 5 minutes and almost 2 hours from Bismarck. And so helping to help the staff that's there, the people that live and work in those communities, the doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, PAs that are there to provide some specialty care. And I've got lots of colleagues that join. So pediatrics goes, surgery goes, dermatology sometimes goes. And so those are ways that we have traditionally taken care of that. I've also done the same kind of arrangement with Beulah and Hazen. And then most recently, just started going out to Hettinger to provide some OBGYN services out there. And so that's one way that we've got docs that are invested in those smaller communities and willing to give up some time to go there. Telehealth is going to help out a lot. We can get a lot of medicine done over the phone and over the video, actually, and especially if we have great working partnerships with the medical providers that are physically on site, we can do an awful lot.
And Rhonda, I think everybody knows that healthcare expenses, they're rising across the entire United States. How does that impact our rural hospitals, clinics, and those who have to pay for it?
A lot of the smaller facilities or more rural facilities have access to different bits of government funding to help out with making sure that they can maintain their facilities. And that's a great thing. Oftentimes it comes with that, little bit of string attached where certain things have to be achieved, certain metrics have to be won, if you will, for them to be able to continue to achieve those monies. Oftentimes those make sense, but sometimes they just don't make sense and they're not as useful or helpful. And so I think continuing to refine and redefine, what the strings attached are for some of those monies, I think is good. Probably the same as, shopping in rural spaces. You got to go to the local grocery store because otherwise, if you need milk and you have to go to the grocery and it's not there, you're going to feel that at some point. And so I think, we've all got to participate in our local access centers for medicine in our regional spaces as well, so that there's a consistent presence in our medical communities rurally.
Are you seeing some general trends that, I think about the fact that like cancer rates nationally have fallen as of late, but do you see some other trends in healthcare that are changing that you've noticed in the time that you've started your practice to where you're at now?
I think that cancer piece is really, we're doing a good job there. I think we've got a lot of early detection, not just radiology and not just blood tests, but now, we have gene site testing to say, hey, you're at an extremely high risk for cancer, you and your family, because you have a gene. Or we've spoken about mental health for a moment when we started today. There's now gene site testing to determine whether or not you're likely to manage a mental health medicine well or not well. And so we've got a lot less side effects. So I think we're making great strides because we're able to use some, kind of standardized testing toolkits to decide who's at greatest risk or to decide who would benefit most from a certain category of medicine or who would have most side effects from another. And therefore, we get a little bit more purchase for the medicine that we're doing. Not, well, here's my favorite medicine for depression. Why don't you give it a try? And, hopefully it works well for you. Now we don't have to do it that way. We can say, your genetics would suggest that this is not a good choice for you. So I'm going to choose something from a different category. And so I think we're getting a lot better with a lot of that. I do think we still have some potential fairly significant delay of diagnoses. So for example, a lot of what I do, which is women's health, if you're, going to your primary care doc and you're a woman and you're 60 years old or you're 50 years old and you have a new lump or a bump or something like that, if that doc is, usually only taking care of cholesterol and diabetes and things like that, their knowledge of GYN tissue or, concerning GYN things may not be the same as a specialist or a subspecialist. And so in rural spaces, I think we're struggling with that a little bit more, and that's just going to take some additional education efforts, but also, like I said, that reach back from people that are specialists and subspecialists to those more rural spaces.
And Rhonda, we just got an email question here from one of our listeners. Since we were just talking about cancer, and they said the question to you was, with our rural community and ag community spending so much time outdoors, have you seen an uptick in cancer rates from our ag community?
I always thought that as a kid. My uncles and my dad, the back of their necks at the end of the summer, they're the kind of red, leathery, dark, really, really tan looking. I often wondered that as a kid. Is this going to go badly in 50 years? And so I don't know that I know that there's an uptick. It seems like, you can't put certain subtypes of skin out on the farm and the ranch and have them do okay without full coverage. I do think we're getting a lot smarter, about, sunscreen in particular and wearing, SPF kind of clothing. And I think we're getting really a lot better at knowing how to pick out, that doesn't look normal. I think you better go to the doc and get that biopsied or taken off. And I think skin checks are more obvious. So the sub stuff seems to be holding its own. Again, I probably would defer to that delay of diagnosis piece that I talked about for just a second. It's harder to get folks in rural spaces to go into the doctor and really plug into healthcare. And so, they're fine, everybody's fine. And so, if you don't get tested, we can't pick stuff up earlier. And so I think, it's usually a bigger uterus if we're doing a hysterectomy, or there's been, more abnormal gynecology when we're doing that. And so I think that across the board, we would say is true for folks in rural spaces, that it would be really okay if we could encourage everybody to get in a little earlier or to go in more annually so we could pick up on some of this stuff before it was a, stage 4 or a gargantuan level problem. Rather, let's pick it up when it's a ditzel. Wouldn't that be easier for everybody and a better outcome? I think so.
Right. And Rhonda, to kind of piggyback off of that, I go to a dermatologist once a year for skin, for check for skin cancer. Just had some pre-skin cancer stuff burned off. But it was a 3 to 4 month wait to get into a dermatologist. Is that the same in the rural community? And if it is there anything that can be done about that?
I think it's a different system, actually, because for the most part, you don't get to go to derm in a rural community. You go to your family doctor. And so, we've worked really hard to produce a lot of family docs and to produce really good family docs that they can do everything from, your skin check to deliver your baby to your colonoscopy to manage you in the ER, even the rural ICU. I think that's a conceptually different person than the specialist that we're producing that works at an academic center somewhere in, New York City or Minneapolis or something. It's a very different kind of doc and different kind of approach to healthcare in general. So if you live in, rural North Dakota, you may not go to a dermatologist for your skin check. You may go to your family medicine doc. Or, if you have a visiting OBGYN that you call your primary care person, you may say, hey doc, you got to check that skin, or that doc will know there's no dermatologist around the corner. I have to take responsibility for skin check. Geez, I don't like that mole. let's get a sample of that. And so it's a bit different. It really makes the system modify itself quite a bit. And so then, if you're rural, you don't get to that subspecialty care as much, but there are folks who are competent to help out with that on the front lines. But then we've got to have more than, when you come in for that thumb visit and then they're asking you about your mental health, you're thinking, why are they asking me about this? Because for some folks, that thumb visit is the only time we're going to see them in a year or 2 or 3 years, especially, if they're a tough ranch man, they're not coming in. They're just not coming in. So we take it when we can get it.
Oh, that is absolutely the truth. And Rhonda, when you said a little bit earlier, oh, it's fine. Things like that don't go away. If that mole looks suspicious, if something hurts that long term, it's not going to get any better. And I think that's probably the hardest thing to overcome in the rural communities is people are it's very difficult for them to ask for that help, to seek assistance and say something might be wrong. And is there anything more we can do besides encourage?
I think it's frame shifting a little bit, like we said with some of the mental health stuff. It's becoming a little bit. I used to have to pry it out. 2009 when I first started, I had to pry it out of people. I'm older, so maybe I'm more believable as a physician, or maybe I know how to ask the questions a little bit better. But I think in society, we're also getting to a point where people are seeing it a little bit more, hearing a little bit more, and saying, gosh, yeah, I don't know about that mole, or gosh, I think I do have a bit of, down in the dumps behavior more than I usually would. I might need some help. But across the board, folks that are in farming and ranching, it's part of the job description to be self-sufficient. You didn't grow up being a mechanic, but when the tractor breaks down, you got to fix it. And so I think it develops the kind of person over a lifetime who's like, I got this. I'm sure it's fine. I'll figure it out. I'll work through it. But at the end of the day, we all need a little bit more help probably than we will raise our hand for initially. And so just reasonable to imagine, those are the folks that are putting meat and bread on my table. And so let me put something back in your direction. Let me help.
That's huge, and asking for the help. And this is the part where, before we wrap up, I give the big shout out to Rhonda, because as far as I'm concerned, she's the reason I'm still here. She took the time as my doctor to sit me down and say, your mom ignored all the things that were going on with her. You don't need to do that. And we can make that better. So if you and your uterus are done having time together, we can fix this. And we did. And that was the right thing to do. So Rhonda makes things better for a lot of people. And if folks would like to reach out to you, Rhonda, at Balance Medical, how would you like them to do that?
Thank you so much for that. That gave me chills, actually, as you said it. And that's the biggest and best thing someone could ever say about someone in their career work. I sure am grateful for that, Bridgette. Really, really, truly. If somebody has questions or they want to know about what we do out here in Bismarck, we've got a Facebook page. We've got a website. You can call in and get an appointment. Any of that stuff is fine. Come on in. We love to take care of North Dakota. We love the 701, hands down. So let us know what we can do to help out.
That would be awesome. So thank you, Dr. Rhonda Schafer-McLean, all your words of wisdom. Thanks for being that farm kid who had such a great idea that she made her own vaccine and became a doctor. That's an awesome story.
That's a nice sum up. I sure appreciate it.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you, guys.
Right,
great
folks,
to see you. Take care.
All right. And for the rest, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with our headlines and check on the weather as we go towards the weekend.
Love is all around during the 2023 Subaru Share the Love event. By the end of this, our 16th year, Subaru will have donated over $285 million to charity, like the ASPCA, Make-A-Wish, Meals on Wheels America, and the National Park Foundation. And Muscatel Subaru is also proud to support Fraser Limited right here in the Valley. Visit muscatelsubaru.com for more details.
With Jiffy Lube Multicare, it's our job to make car care make sense. With personalized service reviews that swap the car talk for straight talk, so you know what your car is telling you and what to do about it. Where highly trained service technicians have your back, helping you take care of the small stuff before it becomes big stuff. Plus a full range of services from Pennzoil oil changes to tires, brakes, batteries, and more. We've got what your car needs, so you're ready for whatever's next. Putting you in the driver's seat of car care, that's a job for Jiffy.
Jiffy Lube, 1780 South Columbia Road, Grand Forks.
Hi, I'm Kevin Wolf, president of Laney's. Do you wish you had more outlets in your home? Or maybe some new high-efficiency lighting fixtures? If so, you need to consider Laney's for all of your electrical needs. Our electricians are courteous, clean, and professional, and you can trust that they will get it done right the first time. So for peace of mind, call us today at 237-0543 or visit us on the web at laneysinc.com.
828 is just great.
To all the generous supporters of the Perry Center, your presence at our annual fall fundraiser made an incredible difference. We not only met, but exceeded our goal thanks to your generosity. Your contributions help provide a loving home for expectant moms and their babies at the Perry Center. For those who couldn't attend, you can still be a part of our mission. Visit perrycenter.org. That's perrycenter.org. The Perry Center, a loving home for expectant moms. Thank you.
Okay, so what do Americans do at least once per week? Yep, get their vehicle washed. Take some pride in that ride and take it to Tommy's Express Car Wash. Yeah, it's a system to get you the best car wash, fast, and your vehicle looking great. 4 Tommy's Express Car Wash locations in Fargo on 32nd Avenue and across from West Acres, and in Moorhead on South 8th Street and on US 10. So take care of that fly ride at one of the 4 Tommy's Express Car Wash locations in Fargo, Moorhead. Tommy's Express Car Wash.
Ready to upgrade your future in just 2 short years? With over 90 high-demand career pathways, North Dakota State College of Science empowers you to dive straight from college to your career. And guess what?
I'm attending tuition free.
Many of our students are getting a quality education without the student debt hangover.
In Wapaton, Fargo, or online.
NDSCS delivers great campus life, sports, esports, and performing arts. So why wait? Schedule a campus visit today. NDSCS, the smarter way to college.
Carpet World has the perfect carpet for families with kids and pets. Smart Strand Forever Clean. This incredible carpet from Karastan features permanent built-in stain protection, plus a Nano-Lock spill and soil shield for superior resiliency. Using the most advanced fiber innovation, Smart Strand Forever Clean carpets are long-lasting, stylish, and easy to clean. Smart Strand Forever Clean from Karastan. Available at Carpet World with locations in Fargo and in Bismarck.
This is Weather and Ag in Focus with Bridgette Readel, Justin Storm, and Dean Wysocki.
Oh, my God!
I guess I'll open. Welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Want to thank you for joining us. 1:52 in the afternoon. We just had a wind gust of 56 miles an hour reported here in the FM area. So, wow.
The weather station still strapped to the ladder upstairs, right? It didn't blow off.
It is not blown off. It is not blown off yet, so that's good.
The secure zip tie is holding it to the roof.
It is so far, along with the PVC pipe. Hey,
That's what works.
we MacGyver stuff quite well around here. Trust me.
I'll tell you what, mine's sitting on top of a 10-foot pole that's all PVC at home, so mine's holding up too.
It works.
But man, does that thing rock in the wind.
Yeah, we've got some windy conditions out there, and we'll continue with that through the rest of the day. Wind advisory in effect. If you're on those east-west roadways, high-profile vehicles, kind of be careful on that. And we'll see the winds lighten up after sunset, and we'll drop down to the low 20s tonight with a northwest breeze, about 10 to 15. And as we head into tomorrow, the winds switch to the southwest, and that will warm us up into the mid to upper 40s and warming it up even further this weekend. Right around the lower 50s Saturday and Sunday. Get those outdoor chores taken care of this weekend because next weekend, Thanksgiving, the holiday weekend, we'll have highs in the 20s with pretty breezy conditions. No big storms for our area for Thanksgiving week. There will be a big storm on the East Coast with a lot of rain, not much snow. That could impact travel. Some of the major hubs could have some delays if they're coming out off of the East Coast. But other than that, it looks pretty quiet. I guess good news for the snowmobilers, not much snow in our area, but with this East Coast system, as this wraps up around Hudson Bay and it pours in the cold air from Canada, there's going to be a lot of lake effect snow in the lee of the lakes, especially Lake Superior, so the UP of Michigan should get a pretty good dumping of snow over the next, starting next week and lasting for a few days. So that's good news for snowmobilers.
Yeah, especially for those that want to go east versus those who go out to the Bighorns, et cetera, out into Wyoming and Colorado to ride. So, pick your pleasure, right? If you want to go east or west to ride snowmobile some point this winter.
Right. And don't forget, Mark, December 5th, that's coming up, guys. 3 weeks?
Real quick.
Yeah. We'll have our winter weather outlook with Gary Lezak. He'll be breaking down, we'll all be breaking down the LRC and how it's been kind of shaping up so far. I'm guessing that our first cycle will be set by then. It's not a guarantee, but we're seeing signs that it very well may be coming to the end of the first cycle here soon. And again, that's not a guarantee, but it's sure looking like that. And then, if you follow along and kind of know how it works, it's been a really dry November, and October was pretty wet, but we got sideswiped by one storm. But it was above normal in terms of precip in October. But man, November's the whole month has been extremely dry. I know we're only midway through, but it doesn't look promising for the rest of the month in terms of any substantial precip around here. So that's not good news. That's not good news.
I think we got Wade on line 1 with a question or a comment. Wade, welcome to the show. What's going on?
Yeah, did you guys watch the news last night? There was an 11-year-old girl that invented a new medical device that can detect strokes earlier. And now you had a guest on that invented a vaccine when she was in high school. That's cool.
Yep.
Girl power,
Girl
That's
power,
a really great
right?
point, Wade. I mean,
What's
I'm going to have to go back and
Bridget
look for that
gonna
news story.
invent next? A new flavor of beer?
Oh, hey, that's a good. Hey, he's onto something
All
there,
right.
Bridget.
Y'all have a nice day now.
Thanks, Wade. Thanks for calling.
Hey,
thanks,
thanks,
Wade.
Wade.
you, Wade.
Thanks for listening as well.
Okay, I want to tag this one doctor comment on to what Wade just said. And there's a doctor. This is not one of those I heard this story. There is a doctor in Bismarck. He and his wife are both OBGs, delivered lots and lots of babies in the Bismarck area. But before he was a doctor, he was a veterinarian. And he was asked, well, what does it take to go from being a vet to being an OBGYN? And he said, oh, don't worry, it's just a night course.
Holy moly.
Wow. All righty.
We're
I
going to
thought
say
that was
regulations
great.
and lawsuits. But
He had a great sense of humor and just it was a wonderful doctor. And there's lots of little kids in the western part of North Dakota that were delivered by he and his wife.
great.
with no lawsuits.
Hopefully no.
Not that I'm aware
lawsuits.
of.
That's a good thing.
That's right. Well, Wade's got me
well, we
thinking.
still
Now I'm
gotta-
going to have to go look for something to event. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, no kidding. I got my invention in my head. I'll tell you guys off air sometime, but I think it could be one of those big $1 million things. But if I'm going to do it, sorry, Dean, I might have to quit my day job to pursue it.
Well, can't you do both?
I mean, I could, but at some point, I'll probably have to end up leaving. You can come with me if you want to help, but are you good at programming?
No.
Well, then how about packaging? Can you package stuff, put it in a box?
I sure can.
We'll tag you along. Bridget,
Okay.
you in?
I don't know, Justin. There's already an Amazon, so I'm going to need more detail. Send me a message. I'll be sure to look into it.
We'll talk here in a bit, but I don't know if we have enough time to hit any of these ag topics. Bridget, any of these you can hit in about 20 seconds?
Okay, so National Cattlemen's Beef Association has the little red books for sale. They're a little $8 book you can order on their website, because sometimes when you're out in the lots and in the pastures and you need to make notes about your cattle, or you want to look up the beef quality assurance criteria, you can do it in the little red book. So go ahead and give them an order until you can put all those things in your more professional app and record keeping. But for those who are listening, don't go anywhere. Jay Thomas is coming up next.
That's wildly inappropriate.